Hello and welcome to the 3inMidfield podcast, the podcast where three friends who had a dream being professional footballers dashed away as children when they all discovered food have their say on the Premier League. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Coach Kojo, ever present, how you doing, sir? Ever present -1. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. What are you saying?
I'm good. We just both came off the Usman Talks United, so we're ready. We're here to talk about even more football. So there we go. We were joined by Big Gunner. How you doing, sir?
I'm alright, man. Just glad to be here again. You know what? Kojo, like, the very first show I went on, I don't even know if Kojo remembers, was you guys versus, I can't remember, you lost. Kojo walked off the screen and disappeared for like 10 minutes. It was that vexed. And I was like, this is me. I need to be on your YouTube thing because this is excitement where Kojo was going, literally, like, he walked off. 10 minutes and then he came back, and I was like, it only flashed up today, and I was like, yeah, I need to bring that up. Like, it's too funny, but it's too funny. I'm good. I'm good. Oh, it's a Champions League game when they who knocked you out?
Was it Denver Boss team?
No, was it we got knocked out? Leipzig.
It's the Leipzig game.
I definitely wasn't happy. So
that's the best moment of YouTube so far. But
there we go. Speaking of unhappy, Jack, how you doing, sir?
I've been better, but I've been worse. So, it's good to be on. Though. It's good to be on again, man. Love the show. Love the show from last week as well, man. The Stephen Air, brilliant. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone that hasn't watched that, tune into that as well.
I was like Ryan was just getting roasted on the show before, where I felt sorry for him, man.
Let's continue. Let's continue. Let's not stop on his behalf. Man, come on now. Let's in fact, let's continue right now. Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. A few months ago, maybe a few months ago, was talk to them man there.
Oh, chill. Shout out Mel though, gargantuan.
Shout out Mel, yeah. Shout out Mel. Brilliant. What's going on? What's going on?
You okay, Jack? Go on.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He's having flashbacks.
PTSD. You know when you get those flashbacks. I mean, it feels like we've skipped the success and just gone straight to Jose's third season meltdown already. Only we can do that. We're the only club that he'll win. He'll win trophies for 99 clubs. The one club he won't win it with is us, because we're not built for trophies anyway. We're not built for success. But man, he's sucking the life out of most Spurs fans now. It's horrible. I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is like Santini 04. This is like Juan de Ramos 08. This is ABB 13-14 / Sherwood. It's bad. It's this bad. And yesterday was just a testament to how we've been playing a lot this season. We've been getting away with it because Kane and Son have been Kane and Son. They've been doing what they've been doing for years. But when they're not firing, boy, this manager gets exposed.
Were you ever one of those fans that thought that when Mourinho first came in, he might be able to rejuvenate his career at Tottenham?
No, I never wanted him in the first place. But when I saw the first few results, I thought, maybe this team may not be as bad as the end of Poch's tenure. But there was still a lot of work to do. There was definitely so much work to do. And but I always had, obviously, there was always a sort of slight agenda against Mourinho because, Chelsea past and the way he did at Man United as well, and the sour taste he left most of his clubs, or half his clubs at least. So I never thought that would be.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
The only team probably he hasn't had left the sour taste in their mouth was Inter Milan when he won the Champions League final season.
Inter and Porto, yeah. I mean,
Porto too. Yeah.
But other than that, it was never the right fit. I've always tweeted and maintained that this was never the right fit. Him and Levy, I knew they will clash. They will clash incredibly. It will be mad. That the sort of I want to see what Jose's book's going to be like and what he says about Levy, because there's going to be a big chapter there, I'll tell you. But either way, man, it's a match made in hell, and the signs are there already. The signs of that third season meltdown, they've started already. He's thrown his toys out the pram, and I don't know where we go from here. We've got a League Cup final, which I know we're going to lose because, man, this guy's last final. You saw his last final, Michael. You know all about this. Pathetic performance in that game. We're going to do the same. We're going to do the same.
I'm not talking about that final, bro. I'm not going to lie to you.
You sound so dejected. I'm almost feeling sorry for you, but I realise you're a Tottenham fan, so I can't feel that sorry for you.
I don't want your sympathy. Don't worry, man. I don't want any else. I wouldn't do the same to you. So it's all good.
Is there any silver lining out of this? Because I thought honestly that this side was a perfect Jose Mourinho side. I mean, Sissoko's decent. What's it? Ndombele, Harry Kane, and Son obviously. Laurie's on the end of his rope, but he's still pretty good. So what's gone so horribly wrong? I can't understand it, because it seemed like it was a match made in heaven.
It definitely isn't, man. Well, what knows? Every Mourinho side has had a good defense, and this side is the complete opposite. Again, I've said this before. Eric Dyer is down there with the Vlad Kirikeses, with the Ricardo Rocha. You've heard me say this yesterday on Footy.
We wait to say it again.
The Anthony Gardners, the Fazios, the Michael Dawsons.
This Anthony Gardner, you know. I said he's going to get a big money move to Man United one time, you know.
Anthony Gardner was best known for his reaction to Adel Tarap's nutmeg. Yeah, that's the only thing he's best known for. That's it. But yeah, the Dyer is horrible. Sanchez is even worse. Alderweireld nowhere near the caliber of defender he was. Joe Rodon's young. We'll see what he's like. We don't have a good defender in the team. We genuinely don't, and that I won't blame Mourinho for that. What I will blame Mourinho for is playing in a system where you soak up pressure and allow these defenders to always be got at, which really, it's the most commonsensical thing you'd think. That, you know, Jose used to be when I was growing up, this guy was an intelligent man. He knew everything, football inside out. You know, he could read every team at the back of his hand. What is this sleeper agent we've got in our team now? He's got Chelsea boxes on. I'm telling you, this guy, this is a double agent job. I'm telling you, he is messing us up from the inside. It's got to be sabotage. It's self-sabotage.
Trust me, it's Arsene Wenger working his magic, man. From the time he called him success and failure, he's won the league once and nothing after that. Where don't come for big Wenger, you know, he'll ruin your life, bro. Look, it's happening now. I think with Mourinho, I think he's obviously so arrogant that he still thinks he is that guy from, you know, prime Chelsea and stuff like that. But I don't know. I always maintain his biggest thing, his biggest two things were Inter Milan and Porto. Anything he's done for anybody else, you can rate it. But, you know, Chelsea was the first team that we saw that had unlimited funds, where it was just like, okay, you go buy him. So that you only had to be half decent. Obviously, Ranieri got them to a level, but didn't get a chance to really build on it for the next season before they brought Mourinho in. So Mourinho was already say that again.
They finished second the season. He was fired, right?
So as much as, you know, we liked Mourinho, I think he's lost it. He's so arrogant that he can't change his ways. So he's still just playing the same football. But like you're saying, if you don't have the players or you don't have the money to buy the players to fit the system, like Højbjerg is probably up there with like top 3, top 4 signings of the season. Like he's been that good. But that's it. Like the rest of them, is it how do you say his name? Vinicius,
yeah.
Yeah, like you signed him and then Harry Kane's out, but then you still don't play him.
Yeah.
Like things like that. That's what people would have sympathy for Spurs and for Mourinho if he looked like he's trying, but he actually looks like he's sabotaging the thing, which I'm sure like a lot of Spurs fans, like a lot of them didn't want him. And I mean, I can vouch for that. I've seen a lot will say we didn't want him from the start. So I don't think we could say they've ever like sort of flip-flopped. But you know what you get with him, man, and they can't sack him because what was it? How much did you lot guys pay him? 90 million,
15 million a year. Yeah.
50 million or whatever. Like
Is
Man
that the
United
case?
paid
Man?
him 90 million to sack him, innit? So you're stuck with him, man. You're stuck with him, and that's the sad thing for you guys.
Yeah.
Is that the thing where he just feels he's far too comfortable knowing that he's pretty much got a job until his contract's up, that he just doesn't want to try anymore? Because I mean, you did say that he did have it to a degree, had it easy at Chelsea because they had money, and that was the first time anybody had spent such a heavy amount. They were called the mercenaries for a reason. But he still did a good job, and I personally believe that there is a very good manager underneath those many layers.
Nah.
But it just seems like he's powered on. I don't understand why he's being so negative.
But first of all, I think he's a coward. I think that after that West Ham game where we were 3-0 up, and then he soaked up pressure and they drew 3-3. I think ever since then the football just went. There's one thing, like we saw this at Chelsea as well. Like he didn't do this every game. He didn't play this way against every single opponent. We knew that. I get they had the players. They had, he had the players at his disposal to play different styles of football. But that's our one weakness, or our main weakness, is that defensive line. We have to play through Ndombele and Højbjerg because they are competent on the ball. Not only that, Ndombele is elite on the ball when it comes to the half-turn, breaking lines, transitioning from defense to attack. But we always go out wide, which really winds me up. And I think another factor is, he's in London. He's with his family. He's at home. He's chilling. He's earning £15 million a year. He's not living in a hotel to set up training sessions anymore. He's comfy. He is stealing a living right now. And his reputation is what got him this job. Daniel Levy always wanted this guy. He's finally got him. You know that saying, never meet your heroes? This is the saying, because this guy he's as human as hell now. He is not that Jose we remember in the noughties, in the beginning of this, in the past decade as well. He's finished. He's done. He is. I think there's a bit of pre-onset dementia there as well. I honestly think this guy, he's getting old. He's getting old. He's 58. He's
Blimey.
He is, and the tactic, just parking the bus against Fulham, against Crystal Palace, against spells against Brentford, against Brighton, just every single opponent. We're not inferior to these teams in like player for player. Michael knows about this as well, man. Like,
There is, I think you guys are in a really tough situation because as awful as his selections are, as awful as his approach to games are, there's also the point of like your team needs a rebuild. So when obviously Pochettino was talking about the rebuild's going to be painful because he knew that there was a time coming where it was like, okay, a lot of these players are not going to go any further than this limit. This is their limit, they're done. You're now looking at players and you're like, okay, Laurie, as Kel said, getting towards the end. Ben Davies not good enough. Reguilon's a good signing, so we can leave him out of that. Alderweireld, you've mentioned the defenders. I have to even go through that as well. They're not levels anymore. Alderweireld's definitely not the guy he was. You can't depend on Aurier. You signed Doherty, can't depend on him either. So that's a whole damn defense, bar one player. Then you come to the midfield, and apart from Højbjerg and Ndombele, again, Sissoko, you can't rely on for anything. Winks, I called him a recycler. Lucas Moura's living off a fantastic one night in Amsterdam where it wasn't for eating edibles, it was actually for scoring goals.
What?
only scoring he was doing that night, though.
And Berg, you go forward. Obviously, the other two, you have to really talk about them. They're doing their thing, but people like Bergwijn not really impressing. Lo Celso is in and out because of injuries, so you can't really rely on him. He's a good player. But injuries, when you're not available, you're just as bad as someone that is available but not good enough because you're not doing anything on the pitch. You can't physically can't do it. So, the rebuild is a lot more bigger than I thought it was going to be. Personally, like from the outside looking in, You got to a CL final the last year before. I think you finished top 4 quite comfortably. So I was thinking, okay, you still got a good team there. But then when you look into it, even your younger players like a Davinson Sanchez has not reached any sort of level that you can think to yourself, oh, he's going to be the future. It didn't work out with Foyth either, and I don't know what it is. So, and then it comes to a situation where if you're Kane and Son and you've gone in your career, you're 27, 28, depending on which one of the two you're talking about, you're like, I need to win something major, because a lot of people, especially for Kane, who people put on the pedestal because he's a top striker, he's world class for me. If he goes out, end of career, and they talk about him as Champions League runner-up, I said on Osman's thing, when you're sitting on the panel analysing the game and then your name comes up, it says Harry Kane, Champions League runner-up, or Harry Kane, League Cup winner. That's it. You're not gonna feel good. He can score all the goals he wants, but those records are for you. But of course, you want that trophy and you want that medal that you can look at the end of the day. Shearer won 1 Premier League and he's top goal scorer of all time in the Premier League. He's fine. He's got his Premier League medal. He's got his goals. He played for his boyhood. But he's comfortable. You can see he's comfortable. We might think so, but he can see he's comfortable. He played for his boyhood team. He's top goal scorer in Premier League history, and he's got his Premier League medal. He's set, So Kane doesn't want to be in that bracket of players that didn't win anything despite doing a madness in his career. So he just needs. It comes to a time where, like, I would say this: if you don't win the League Cup and the Europa League, there is a strong chance you lose one of them this summer.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what I want as well. I need if we win a solitary. If we win this guy is man. I celebrate the Audi Cup as well, don't we? I smiled then. So, but yeah, if we win a League Cup, like a solitary League Cup, and Europa League, all I'll say is we've done that before. We've done that under Juan de Ramos, and we've done that under George Graham. So he's just on Mourinho's on the same. Does Mourinho want to be on the same level as them two? Is that his goal? Is that what he's brag about?
Listen, don't even diss George Graham like that, man.
Yeah, but for you,
Cyril, he was the original part of the bus, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Like,
he was.
He was the original. Can't have no one dissing him. Little thief, but can't have no one dissing him. But
well, Chelsea fans say the same about Mourinho. I mean, because that's exactly the same. It's exactly the same scenario, except Jose hasn't even won the trophy yet.
The struggle is when Mourinho was at the top, he was only really battling Ferguson in the Premiership anyway. Like, realistically, it was only like Wenger was on. We was on the down.
Wenger was there. Wenger was there.
No, but we wasn't like.
We finished second the season. He won the first Premier League, and then we finished fourth. But I don't think United ever. I think United finished third that season.
Yeah, we finished third 2 seasons in a row, I think.
How long was he at Chelsea? 3 years, too.
Mourinho 4.
Yeah, 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there was. Let's say there was 3 teams, but now it's got to the point where, as much as people you don't know, but I would say there's 5 teams that could. Like, if the variables were right, there's 5 teams that could potentially win the league, and I think that's where it's coming unstuck for him. Like, because he's not used to this. He's just used to having to have mind games with only 2 people or 1 person. But now you can't really run mind games with 5 people. It don't work, does it?
He doesn't even run mind games, does he?
He can't though, he can't though, because the team's not. If the team was. If he believed in the team, he would be running mind games, but he don't believe in the team. And as he said yesterday,
Man United, he did. I don't know if he believed in that team too much. What did he call Conte?
Oh yeah, didn't Conte call him a little man or something?
No, but Conte, he rattled Conte though, because after those comments here, Conte went on like this losing streak for time. Like, he had that power over certain people. Like, he just knew how to. It was the timing. Like, he rattled Alex Ferguson that way as well. Like. So Alex Ferguson didn't even beef him like that. So he told the people that he respects Mourinho from day one. Deep that. His timing of the words here was exquisite. It was the right time. You went to turn the screw and say, I got you. You know what I mean? So, and it's a little celebration as well. Like, sorry to do this to Liverpool fans, but for example, when they played them in the Carling Cup final the first
bro.
season. No, sorry, but it's jokes. But when he was walking, he was just doing the little, and he said, "Oh, I wasn't doing it to the fans. I was doing it to the media or whatever."
Yeah, he
Even
did
though
that
he did reference to media.
before he even came to the Premiership, though, didn't he? When he done the run.
Exactly, was when done the
Yeah.
whole celebration. And then you go later on, you go to other stadiums like again at Anfield when they parked the bus for all of 90 minutes and they scored 2 goals. And he's there doing big chest like he knew when and how to rattle people at team. And he knew
Barca celebration is iconic, man.
Exactly, going to Barca, knowing that you knocked them out after the way your player got so you go and put your hand like he knew when to do it. But as you guys said, he believed in all those teams.
Yeah.
So he was talking now. And in his first year at United, because he knew he was going to get to the Europa League final at some point, one way or another, and Zlatan was doing his thing and he was getting goals one way or another, he was talking crud. When he believes in it, that's when the smoke comes out. Now he reacts when people talk rather than talking first and then rattling them. So
I rated him for that United, because he put all his eggs in one basket. It could have gone deeply wrong. Like if they never won that Europa League, it would have been. But he knew that he was going to win it. I think he just knew in it. He's like, let's write off the league. It's just too much to try do both in it. He was just like, I know I'm going to win this, and I respect him for that. But I just think the whole thing. I think even I don't know if the Spurs fans make it any better. To be fair, because I'm not saying Jack, because obviously I read what you say, so and I can see you're quite level-headed. But there are some that are out there, and obviously like the video that's floating about. But I think that video, for me, is how a lot of Spurs fans think. But obviously they're not as brave to do it as a video. But I think a lot of them were thinking like that, and he had them top of the league, and it was just everything was just feeling all right. Like Mourinho looked like he was back, innit? But when it crumbles with Mourinho, you don't just it's not a slow decline. It's just a boom. Like the whole thing just locks off in it, and I don't know how Spurs are going to get out of it because the transfer window is closed now.
And
Kane gets injured every season. It's coming. And the worst thing is not like muscle injuries. It's usually an injury that's caused by impact or something. But it's coming every season. He's going to get an ankle injury. Yeah. And I feel like the planning is just a bit. Yeah, it's a bit mad. But
let's talk about Brighton quickly, Coach. Yes, they got the W. They played. They played quite well against Spurs. They scored a quite wonderful goal. Had a few good opportunities, but they seem to be one of those clubs that escape. Let's say the criticism that Bielsa gets, where he plays an expansive brand of football. They play an expansive brand of football. They're sitting 17th. 7 points clear of Fulham. But why aren't people saying that they need to change their style of football in order to try and survive?
Because for people, it's entertainment over results. So they prefer looking at a brand because it looks good, but in all reality, if you're not getting the right results, this is kind of thing that, it's similar to what, not even similar, because I feel like I was doing a better job in his season before he got fired, but Chris Hughton got fired for pretty much the same thing, no? He got fired
because his football wasn't good enough.
Yeah, well, okay, so his football wasn't good enough, but he was getting better results. This one, so actually, this is what the point I'm trying to make. Sorry, so the way it is with them, and funny enough, I actually didn't know this. Their last 3 home wins were in 3 separate years. That's scary. 2019, 2020, 2021.
Oh yeah, and it was against. Yeah, I saw that today. Yeah.
North London gifts, literally North London gifts, literally. But that's poor for a team that's supposed to play expensive football and supposed to look so good. If you're not winning games at home, obviously it's not working for you. And people might call me old-fashioned, but I prefer the whole playing to get results rather than playing to entertain. Jack, trust me, Jack, listen. I'm not saying bore the fans senseless so you can celebrate a goal for a minute and then sit down for the rest of the 89 bored out of your mind. I'm not saying that. But if it's a decent brand of football, but it gets you more W's than so-called sexy football that gets me 3 wins and it's 1 per year at home, I'd take the decent football. You know what I'm saying? At least I know that my team's achieving something. Right now, Brighton for me are what I was close to calling Crystal Palace The team that's happy to be in the Premier League, so they'll do what it takes to just about stay in there, but do nothing more. There's no ambition to go upwards. That's what they look like to me. So because at least with Palace, I can see that the talent that they're actually buying, like I say, it looks like they're trying to make something and go further than the 13th, 14th. They want to try and go into that top half of the table finish at some point. So it's just not good enough. I understand that their football's nice, and that's why they escape criticism, because they're pretty to watch. You get excited with Lamptey. They've got good midfielders, like Gross is a good midfielder. Neil Maupay, people don't like him, but he's a decent finisher as a striker, decent threat. But all in all, their football's not really doing them any big progress. Man, so until that happens,
they're 7 points away from the bottom, though, like from the actual 2018. So that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points. That is a lot of points. As well, like, the pressure is not on them because they're Brighton, and no one knew about Brighton 5-6 years ago. They don't spend no money. Leeds are supposed to be this massive club, that have a massive rivalry with Man United. So people expect more from them and they want more from them. Who battered Leeds? Was it Man United or was it Man United, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6-2.
Yeah, 6-2. And they were still talking about how well Leeds played. And I'm like, how can you talk about how well a team played when they lost a bloody match 6-2? That don't make sense to me, innit? So it's just like, for me, it's just the teams there's just teams out there in it that are just like the blue-eyed boys in it that people are just gonna love, people are gonna hate, and it's like that. But Brighton don't offend anyone. Maybe Maupay offended a couple people, Arsenal fans mainly, but they don't offend anyone in it. So, like, for me, they don't bother me in it. They're just there in it. There's teams that I actually hate. Teams like Burnley, I just want them to get kicked out of the Premiership. Like, I don't care if they get relegated in it. But Brighton is just a team where you would say you think you're going to get 3 points. Well, we obviously didn't last season when we needed to, but there's just a team there in it, and that's who you want to play every week in it. Those sort of teams in it. So I've got no problem with them, but I've got a problem with Leeds. So yeah.
We have to move on from Spurs, but I will say this: it's what day is it? It is May 24th. You remember that? Remember that, Coach? Elena, Darren T, and Ryan, you are welcome to that podcast. Like you said, you were going to turn up. You said you were going to turn up. You said you were going to turn up champions. Well, they have to wait and see, I guess.
They really
Chelsea.
More Darren T with his chest. More Darren.
I know Darren. He does it on the group chat as well.
Darren's a madman,
He's a bad man.
He's actually a madman.
I'll never pick Spurs to win the league ever in my life. Never.
Nah, I think you guys were believing, man. Like, I was believing as well, man. I was like, right, these guys could actually
Part
do it.
Part of me was like,
you know what? They've got Mourinho in it, so if he gets in the leads, he doesn't usually get caught in it. But again, like, even when people say he parks the bus and stuff, when he's parked the bus, look at the players he's had, like Robin, Damien Duff, Sean Wright-Phillips, Didier Drogba. Like, at the top, they had like amazing players going forward. So parking the bus wasn't really parking the bus, when Lampard's scoring 20, 25 goals a season, isn't it? So yeah, but enough of Spurs, man. Let's talk about a good team.
Let's talk about the best team in North London, Arsenal 0, Manchester United 0. Not much to say about this game because it was pretty much a bore fest. I mean, Cavani.
Have you watched it again?
No, I've only seen it. I saw it live.
Yeah, no, watch it again, man. Yeah, I think you might change your views on the game.
Yeah. Go on. So I'm saying there's the Cavani chance.
Yeah.
Who
Pepe Le Pew.
Somebody came close. Oh, Lacazette came close when he hit the bar. Willian had a major chance as well, and I kind of lost my crap.
Smith Rowe had a chance. Rashford had a chance. Cavani had 2 chances, didn't he? There was like, to be fair, like this for me, the game was Arsenal just needed not to lose. Man United needed to win. When it got to 15 minutes to the end, it turned into, the last game of the World Cup group stages where both teams are through. They don't want to no one wants to get injured. No one wants to just go for it. Like, it's over, innit? And that's what happened, innit? if this was 10, 15 years ago, Wenger would have had 4 strikers on the pitch. Man United would have had 4 strikers on the pitch, and they would have been going for it, innit? But that just showed me that both teams were happy with it. Both teams are obviously not where they want to be. They're not, anywhere near where they feel they should be. So I think it was a good result for us. It was a good result just because of our league position, and it keeps us.
You don't think that United were there for the taking?
Both teams were there for the taking. Yeah, both teams were there for the taking. But I think when we all saw our lineup and we saw Tierney and Saka and probably Aubameyang, like 3 players that would have been starting and weren't playing, we just probably thought, okay. And, we know what Man United can do on the break. So we was probably just thinking, good, this could be a bit sticky for us. So, in the end, I was just happy that, we didn't concede, man. So that's just more confidence. But like I say, both teams were there for the taking, to be fair. So don't know how man like Kojo feels, but
how bad was that Cavani chance?
Bro, second one, I can understand why he missed it.
Yeah, it's behind him, isn't it? Yeah, it's behind him.
It's a difficult one to take, but the first one, I don't know what to tell you, bruv. I'll say it like this: United fans, for me, were not furious enough, because if that was Anthony Martial, they would be screaming. Actually, not. In fact, Martial came off the bench and did nothing wrong, and you knew what happened. So I'm not even going to get further into that. But it was a horrific miss. I'm sorry. You're in front of the goal. Leno, for some reason, was out of his goal on the other side.
I don't even know where he was.
Yeah, I don't even think he got a corners because his hand was just out there, and you sort of just
almost made it go in. To be fair,
exactly. So that's a goal you have to score. And for me, with Rashford, the issue with Rashford is this: he's got 7 goals, 5 assists this season, and the reason why he hasn't got 15 goals, 10 assists this season is because he lacks good decision making. 8 times out of 10, he makes the wrong choice. And this is where my issue is with him, and it always has been with him. He's a good player, but what separates you from being... He's good, potentially great, but it's the decision-making that stops him from being great, potentially even higher. And that's where my issue is with him. Decision-making is a problem. But it's not just him, though. The whole forward line is not scoring goals consistently. I don't really get onto Greenwood. Inconsistent minutes, hasn't played much this year. So he's fine, but the others are just not producing enough. And I feel like we should have won the game, because I feel like our chances were a lot more clear cut. But could I be mad at the point? No, because I predicted a draw in the first place anyway. And the second thing is, since Wenger left, we haven't beaten Arsenal.
Yeah.
So at this point, as sad as this sounds, I don't expect to beat Arsenal anymore. That's just how it is, because Man United are not.
Yeah,
sorry?
I was gonna say, if your players actually generally thought they were in a title race, you guys would have won that match.
Well,
I don't think the mentality, they actually believe they're in a title race. I think they thought, you know what, we're at the top of the league and we got there, but that's down to the manager. Obviously, it's down to the manager to instill in these guys. Like I keep saying, Rashford he's 2 steps below world class, but he can be world class. But again, it's about desire. Are you going to do what Ronaldo done and have yourself on the training pitch, just smashing balls and really working on perfecting your game? Or are you just happy to be playing for Man United and know you're pretty much going to play every week? Because that chance that he got, it just looked like, you know what, I know I'm good and I know I could bust a skill here. I could put someone on their floor and then tap it in. There was no real desire to score the goal. Yeah. And I think that's comfortable. It's just comfortable.
Is that down to the manager or is it down to the players? Because looking at Manchester United's team, they got a few serial winners there. Cavani's won multiple Ligas. Pogba's won multiple Serie A's. Bruno Fernandes, no, did he? I'm not sure if he won anything.
Sporting, he won a few trophies, maybe 1 or 2 leagues, but that's it. Because obviously Benfica and Porto, innit?
Matic, etc. I was going to say De Gea's won the Premier League.
He's won Premier League, yeah. He's won Premier League.
Phil Jones is even there. He might chip in. So is it down to the manager to inspire them, or should the players have that winning mentality already instilled?
It is, because he's... I'll say, yeah, you go, Jack. You go.
I was just saying, I think it reminds me, when I said what I said about Jose being scared since the 3-0, I think Oli in big games is scared since the 6-1. He just... Ever since that game, 0-0. He's he's playing these games to not lose now, and I
Yeah.
think that fear's instilled in him. And I think if you want to be serious, you've got to go for some of these games, not all of them, because obviously title winners, a lot of Alex Ferguson did this in big away games. He'll set up in a way where you won't lose, and if you can win it, win it. I think Liverpool away, in particular, you're pretty good at doing that, where you pick a win at Anfield. But it's definitely fear on Ollie's side. And I just want to say one thing on Cavani as well. This guy misses chances, man. I've said it before.
I was going to say, even like for PSG and stuff, he used to miss some bangers in it. But
you guys would know the most, man. That Arsenal, when you drew 1-1 at the Parc des Princes, that game pissed me off, man.
He missed so many chances, yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'll say.
It's just such a tough one, because you see when we shouldn't do this, and I think this is the downfall of many fans, is that we compare what the players are now to the players that we've had in the past. But when I look at it, when Thierry Henry, Vieira, Robert Perez, Lundberg, whoever stepped on the pitch, I don't think Arsene Wenger needed to tell them what to do. I think they just went and done it. Same with you guys. When you had Ryan Giggs, Van Nistelrooy, Roy Keane, and you was at the true greatest, I think you guys didn't need to motivate the players. I think the players can motivate themselves, but at the same time, they also had Roy Keane on the pitch, Van Nistelrooy, that would motivate the players on the pitch, Rio Ferdinand, and the same with Arsenal. They had Patrick Vieira and players that would motivate the players on the pitch. When you look at Man United now, who is your motivator? It's the same with Arsenal. We haven't had a good captain since Patrick Vieira. We literally haven't had a good one.
Could you argue that tactics now are more important than individual brilliance? Because if you look at Pep, nobody whenever Pep gets into a team, they play Pep style. If you don't, you get benched. Look at Henry. Yeah. Henry, I think he didn't listen to Pep one time, and he said, "Well, he scored a goal," and Pep said, "No, you're coming off." So tactics nowadays are paramount. You could look at teams of yesteryear, and tactics were there. And Arsene Wenger's teams always played beautiful football. I still to this day I don't know what Fergie done, but he looked like a serial winner. I feel like the power is now in the hands of the managers rather than the power being in the hands of players.
I don't know, because I think that's how Man United have been winning. Like, I think this is how Man United have been winning this season. I think it's how good the players have been. And I don't think it's to do with... obviously, Ole's picking a team in it, but I still think another manager would get more from these players. And I think the fact that they've got genuine world-class players, like Pogba is anyone says Pogba is world-class. Fernandes, no matter what anyone says, over the last year, he has been world-class. Like, you can't deny that. The actual football he's been playing. You know, Rashford, Martial, on their day, well beaters. Obviously, Cavani, we know if he does take chances, he takes chances. So it's the fact that they've had these sort of players that have been winning the games for them. So I do think when Man United come and get another manager with these same players, I think they will elevate. But the next manager is going to bring in players, isn't it? Like, I don't think they trust Ole enough to give him money to sign people, because they know in it. They know he's not there to stay.
How much money has he spent recently? Like 400 million, maybe?
I think so.
But then has he? Because when you look at it, Donny, how much games has Donny played?
That's on him, though. He picks a team, doesn't he?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But that shows that he never signed that player.
I don't know about that, because he's been on record saying that everything that happens goes through me.
He's gonna say that, though, isn't it? Like, he can't make himself.
He doesn't have to, because previous managers have said.
I know, but look at the previous managers. They've all done stuff. Yeah, they've always done stuff and they've won stuff in it. He's just in his first real job. Like, that's what I always say. Lampard, Arteta, and Ole, they couldn't say no to anything. Like, while they've been in charge, because they know none of them should have the job that they've got, or Lampard had. None of them should have had the job. None of them done anything to warrant getting a job. They couldn't say no to anything. They just had to be yes men, and that's why essentially they were hired, because they needed someone that was going to be a yes man at that specific time. I don't think any of them were like, "Oh, this guy's going to be here for 5 years." They needed someone specific to come in that maybe knew the club, and maybe could get the morale up a bit for the next man that comes in. And I honestly think that's what all three of them were there to do. And we'll see who's gonna end out on top.
Quick thoughts on the transfer window. Obviously, we signed Odegaard, but we got rid of a few players that have been with us since the Wenger years. So Ozil obviously left, Kolasinac, Mustafi's now gone. How do you think this transfer window has gone for Arsenal? And is it
transfer window? We've pretty much the best transfer window we've ever had. Pretty much, because people have always been saying they can't see what Arteta has been doing, or what Arteta came in and the first thing he said is, I needed to change the mentality of the players. And it isn't by coincidence that there was a group of players that have all now gone. There were three of them, and all of a sudden they're all gone. All of a sudden, since the first one went, we started winning a couple of matches, then the second one went, and now the third one's gone, and we're just winning matches. We've been notorious for keeping players for 10 years, and that Martinez, perfect example, played for Arsenal for 10 years, played 10 games or something stupid. So for me, this is the best we've done. I know we've had to just pay some of them off just to get them out of the club, but this is a big step forward for me because it obviously frees up a bit of wages, but also they identified who was leaking stupid things into the press. They knew who the bag eggs were. You know, even Maitland-Niles and Willock going out on loan, that's good because this should have happened for these two years ago.
Yeah.
Like, they should have had this 2 years ago. So it's finally come. The signings in, they were needed. Brunison basically just got us kicked out of the Carabao Cup for his performance. Even when we was winning Europa League, he was making mistakes, but we were just winning the games.
Yeah.
So getting in a half decent keeper, Odegaard, Smith Rowe can't do it alone, so sharing the two between there. I just hope we can sneak a little left back in, but it's time's done, isn't it? So yeah.
I think it's very important that Arsenal have found a ruthless side to them.
Yeah,
because that's something that a lot of other clubs have been begging for, namely mine and Jack's teams. We're looking for our clubs to be ruthless with certain players and just say, look, your time's up over here. You can't stay here. I mean, we gave, what was it? So, Jones, Rojo, Smalling, and Young extensions when they had 6 months left. They had no reason to be at United anymore. And now, three of them have gone, and you haven't sold them for any more than 20 million combined. See what I'm saying? So, you know, it's that ruthlessness that you need. Sometimes you just got to say to the guy, look, we're not playing you. You need to go somewhere and play football. You want to play consistent football, it ain't going to happen here. You can terminate your contract, or you can go to other clubs, try and get a decent fee, and you're out of the door. And they've done what they need to do. You've went Odegaard on loan. It might be a short-term loan, simple loan. There's no clause behind it. But he's not even getting football at Real Madrid. Who's to know that you guys continue this good form? You have a couple losses here and there, but if you maintain a good form and someone like Odegaard says, I can look at what Arteta's doing here at the club and I want to be a part of that, you never know. Something like that, something so small can become something so big for someone of that talent to join your club. That could be a level up. So it's good that Arsenal are being ruthless. Arsenal haven't been ruthless in the transfer window.
Never.
Yeah, ever.
Since Arsene Wenger's come, since Arsene Wenger, we have never been ruthless. Never, ever. So
you've lost players. You've lost fantastic players for ridiculously small fees, in my humble opinion. And you've bought bad players, even if the fees weren't big, but the wages just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it's now a case of you're getting rid of these guys one by one. Hell, look, you could do this, and it could be same old Arsenal, fine, but at least the idea behind it is there. At least you can see that Arsenal are trying to do something, and I will praise Arteta for that. That's what the kind of stuff that Mourinho, Solskjaer got praised for in the sense of like Man United players that didn't want to be there. He shifted them out bit by bit, but we still got some of these players. We're not terminating their contracts. You're making those moves, so it's good. This is step one. This is step one of the rebuild. Sometimes you got to just force man out before you do the rest. So if they're gone, they're gone. It's good for Arsenal. It's really good. Look at that.
Liverpool 3, West Ham United 1. It was one of those games where it looked like West Ham, obviously going into the game, good patch of form. I think they were 5th at the time. They still are 5th. They were fifth at the time. No, they were fourth at the time when they went to Liverpool came to them. But the quality of Mohamed Salah obviously shone in that game. Why was it a disappointing game for West Ham, Coach?
Because I think when you're in good form and you reach a high, even if you really can't believe that you're there, once you get there, you want your team to perform better. I know they'll look at the defense of Liverpool and say you should be getting at that because Henderson's not centre back. Phillips has done okay since he's come in, but he's not established centre back who should be performing at a good level. But then my argument is above City this season, who has been absolutely convincing at the back. So that's not for them a big loss. If they lose their forwards, that's when Liverpool have a big problem, in my opinion. So the fact that they still had that talent there, I don't think West Ham should look at this game and be absolutely furious. I think they should look at this game and say, okay,
Yeah.
we faced the champions. It could be worse, but they didn't lose to stupid mistakes. They lost to absolute masterclass goals. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like Salah turned on the heat. That touch for the second one before he finished it, the smoothness of that goal is incredible. The first one, I'll say defenders get closer, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, sometimes, I'm not gonna lie to you, when you're playing a top player like that, it's hard to just close them down and do whatever, especially when it comes to penalties and VAR and everything. Now, the slightest touch, if he falls down, all that rubbish, but it's a quality strike. The third goal, lovely link-up play, easy goal for Wijnaldum. So they didn't lose to anything where you can look at them and say, oh, Craig Dawson did this, or Tuchel didn't do his job in the midfield or anything like that. They lost to quality goals. So there's no shame in this defeat, in my opinion. I don't think they should be angry with this one. That's just what I feel.
I think Antonio had a chance at the start in the first half. Like against Liverpool, especially because of who they've got up front, you've got to score that and just make it a game. I think that probably disheartened them. Once Salah got that first goal, you knew it was just going to be a political evening, innit? So that Kojo says, you just got to take it on the chin, innit? Like you shouldn't be winning that game, innit? Like obviously you've been in a rich training form, but realistically, if Liverpool are on fire or whatever, you're not winning that game, innit? So take it on the chin, come back again next week, innit? Yeah, I don't think they'll be too upset with that game, to be fair.
Liverpool, I guess because of their injuries, now they're playing Henderson in the back. A lot of people were questioning whether they were title challengers. Some were questioning whether they were top 4 contenders. Was that stupid of them, considering the quality that they had, Jack?
I mean, looking at that centre-back situation, you'd think that teams would get at them and take advantage, but I mean, when you've got quality up front like that, it goes back to when Klopp first joined Liverpool, I guess the 17-18 season, when he was criticised for not adapting his system a little bit to certain games. Because they were winning games at home, they were rip-roaring. Obviously, the rock and roll football was in full flow. And they were winning games in ways that Liverpool fans really appreciated and loved. So if they can stick to that and ride that out, whilst they've got these two centre-backs in now, in my opinion, that we'll see. They're kind of panic in my opinion. But when you got players that can play in the system, I think Henderson and Fabinho can look comfortable in that back line because they're just good footballers and they just know the system so well, and I think they can manage bigger games. Yeah, the jury's out, but in those games against teams like West Ham and below that, I think you will find some get. Obviously, Fulham was a bit of a struggle away, but if they can just ride it out and actually go back to playing that brought football, I think they can manage and I think they can still maintain it. But City's going to be tough.
Yeah, man, to be fair, I've got no sympathy for them because just for the fact that they had two centre backs there, like you chose to go with Henderson and Fabinho, which you knew was going to mess up your system. So if you just trusted one of those centre backs, I know, was it Phillips? Which one's the young one? The younger one, sorry.
Reece Williams.
Yeah, Williams. Yeah, I know he had a couple of shaky games, but against most teams, Phillips will be good enough. Like they just remind me of Barcelona that you could have pretty much anyone in the defence, but because your midfield and your forwards are that good, you don't really need to worry about your defence. But by playing those two at centre back, it gave other teams, it gave them a little pump in it because they knew that their best two midfielders were now playing centre back. Thiago, as much as he is world class, doesn't fit the Liverpool system, in my opinion. So he's not going to be running about doing a madness. You know, he's someone that you bring on in Liverpool's team anyway. He's someone that you bring on when you're winning, and he's going to keep the ball. He's going to just keep recycling the ball, but doing it legitly, not like Winks, but doing it legitly. But yeah, like Liverpool, I still had them as favourites, even with their centre back injuries. But Man City, was just doing an ultimate sneak attack, like just 1-0. That's the thing; they're winning 1-0. We don't see that from Man City in it, so that's when I thought, okay, these guys they're here to win the league, man.
Let's talk about City because they did win, like you said. They usually blow teams away with their quality, but it took them 9 minutes to get on the score sheet, and then I don't even say they shut up shop because Sheffield United is not exactly the best team in the league right now, but they withheld their attack, their offense. I'd say. Why has this new look Pep surprised everybody? Because everybody thought that they weren't going to be top champions. Once again, the Liverpool argument, they didn't think they'd even get to top four. That's what I was hearing. So why is it now surprised people that he's playing this not restrictive, but less appealing than what they're used to seeing?
He's a stubborn man. That's why. That's all it is, really. This guy has been how long has he been in the management at this level? What, 13 years now? 12, 13 years? And
blimey.
Yeah, he's probably played one of the most successful managers ever.
Yeah, to his downfall as well.
Yeah,
and Ruben Diaz, they needed that centre back, and I think for the first time, John Stones is looking like an actual defender now, instead of a joke man like he was before when he first joined. And but yeah, I mean, we were in for Diaz as well. I'm fuming we didn't get it.
Bro,
it stuffs me. I feel sick, man.
You know what I think? I think it is though. Like I think when you actually look at it, they don't have a striker, so he's had to find another way of winning games, which most other managers they try, but they don't do it. In it, like he's had to. I know Jesus got the goal yesterday, but he hasn't been playing, has he?
So he doesn't have faith in him, in my opinion. I don't think he believes in him.
He doesn't. He doesn't beve him. Like, my man's just got that sharp. He's got them sharp cheekbones in it. Like he looks like a. he looks serious in it, but Pep doesn't trust him in it. Like I don't think he's got that ruthless. I don't know. Maybe he needs to run the games to get that ruthlessness. But Pep's found another way of winning, and that's what the top managers do in it. They find another way of winning, and I think that's the downfall of, say, Mourinho or Klopp, that they never found another way of winning. Like they just always stubborn that I have to play the way I want to play. And it was Arsene Wenger for 20 years, whatever he was there, that only had one way of playing. And if you want to be top, you need to have another way. And Ferguson was the best at it. When he was playing certain games, he was playing Park or he was playing Fletcher. He had another way of playing, and I think that's what set Ferguson aside from the rest, is that he had two ways of playing. And I think Tuchel now is going to do the same thing. He's going to have more than one way of playing. Even when you watch Southampton, he has more than one way of playing. He has more than one way of playing during a match. So that's serious. That's serious coaching for me. So I think that's what Pep has done. He's found another way of winning, and
that's been his downfall as well. That stubbornness in the Champions League. The reason why Bayern failed. That he failed at Bayern in terms because they wanted that European success on top of that. He failed at City so far in terms of in Europe because City's owners, they're ambitious. They've already got their league titles. They want that Champions League, and hopefully, well, for their sake.
Not hopefully.
No, God forbid. But I think it was after the Tottenham game where Tottenham registered 3 shots and they won 2-0. Like he looked at that game, man. Ever since then, it's not been so simple to counter City anymore. Before it was a piece of cake. We did it twice last season against them. It was easy to do it, and they have a better side. They have probably the best side in the country. So when it comes to improving, Ruben Dias is huge because I feel like in a lot of these games where they've been winning maybe 2-1, 2-0, 1-0, they're still playing the same style. But the difference is last year they lost their linchpin, their captain, their legend, and they had Otamendi and Laporte at the back. Laporte injury prone. Plus, anyone that's listening to this, I'm never really been a big fan of his anyway.
Right.
Yeah. And Otamendi, let's send the bet. That's why they put him in the swap deal for Benfica. Go and check out Benfica now, by the way, defensively. So Ruben Dias is a huge signing. That Jack said, I'm fuming, absolutely pissed that they got him. That day made me so mad.
We missed out on Diaz and Bruno Fernandes because of a few mil.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Know this, man.
I forgot about that because he was pretty much at Spurs, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
He wanted to join everything.
Man said, man like Jack, aka Jose's son.
Nah, don't say that, bro.
Benji was violence.
If he's like that, I'll be an orphan. Like,
that's a mad one, bro. Put some respect on Mourinho's name, man.
I got no respect for Mourinho. He's dead. Man.
Dead to me, boy. I rate that.
So let's talk about Chelsea quickly. Tuchel's second game in charge, they get the win against a Burnley side, and I'm always happy to see Burnley lose. Aspilicueta and Marcus Alonso got on the score sheet. Can any of you see what he's trying to do?
Wingbacks. I think what Conte did as well with his wingbacks as well. It's the profile of player that you need rather than the actual quality itself. Because with wingbacks, it's the energy, it's the runs in behind, the smart runs that you're always making. But the defensive, you don't need that high level defensive positioning that a fullback would need. And because I know this because Matt Doherty's piss poor and he's a wingback. And
that's the odd thing. He was so good as a wingback for Wolves. Why would you change the reason why you signed him and play him in a flat back forward? I don't know, but yeah, Chelsea. So
wingbacks don't have to be sensational footballers. They just have to be able to do the job, and they have to always be available and out there. And that allows, obviously, in the middle, that movement that the forwards and the attacking midfielders make. It's imperative for those wingbacks to hold the ball, for them to always be available. And it's working for Chelsea. It's working for Chelsea. It worked for Conte when he first joined. It's so far. It's working for Tuchel. I mean, I'm dreading the game on Thursday, but yeah, it's so far so good. But again, new manager, it could just be a bounce. You have to see how how long this can last. If it can last for more than a few months, then fair enough. His system's been implemented immediately almost. But if it does, then questions will be raised.
Is his job really to bring out the best in Havertz and Timo Werner and all those stars that they bought for the 250 million?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. Surely. I mean, Abramovich doesn't spend money, big money anyway, for man to just come and do whatever for a season or two and then kick. And then because if he spends big, he makes sure he gets profit for those players. That's how he does his business. He's quite good at that. Lampard, well, to be honest, I don't want to go too much into it, but the way he was playing Havertz in certain positions just didn't make sense. I said he had like a German version of himself in the sense that, yes, he played at Leverkusen, and we know about Bundesliga and this defending, but at the end of the day, he was someone that ghosted into the box, the way he scored goals, he was able to create chances, and the areas he found himself in the box in more than anything. So he didn't utilize him the right way. Timo Werner's just not working out for him right now because he's actually getting into his paces. He gets into the spots and he just can't do the job. Like in that game, he kicked the ball against his own leg and it went backwards. Like
Soldado.
No, the thing is that everyone was getting onto Lampard about where they were playing him, but I was like, if he's not getting in the positions to score, it's Lampard's fault. He played him in a different position. He's still getting chances. My man was just tripping over, miskicking the ball, doing this, doing that. So yeah, it's on him. It's obviously you got to give him another season, innit? We've got to be fair, give him another season. I think this will be an easier job for Tuchel than it was for PSG in the sense that he's got loads of younger players. So none of them have any sort of egos and that. And if they do, they're not going to be the one that they will just get rid of a minute. Like they, so it's an easier job in that sense that he can mold these players the way he wants. Are these players overrated? We don't know. Like we're not going to know until this season's done and probably next season's done. Maybe the players are not as good as people thought they were, but again, it's only going to be worse for Mourinho because that's another manager now because that he's going to have to battle against and.
Yeah, Chelsea fans just need to take their time because they feel like they're winning again, but the first game was a draw. There's only a second game now, and it's one win.
They were celebrating the passes. They were laughing at Arsenal. Yeah, they were laughing at Arsenal because we kept replaying Martinelli's goal when he ran from the halfway line and scored, and they were saying, "Why you keep playing that? It was a draw. It's a draw." But then you lot are celebrating passes that didn't lead to nothing. Like that don't make no sense to me. So that shows the decline that they had under Lampard. That's what they're celebrating. But it's all going to be fun and games, man. Like as much as I hate to admit it, you do want to see loads of good managers and loads of good teams in the Premiership because if you do win something, it feels a bit better that you've had to overcome more teams than just overcoming one team. So yeah, next season is going to be very, very good. Hopefully. Because every time we build up a season that's going to be sick, it usually isn't. So let's just see what happens, man. But it's looking good for Chelsea, innit? They have to win it next season.
Yeah. We'll finish on the Leicester City game. Leicester City 1, Leeds United 3. Kind of an embarrassing defeat to a Leeds side that's not exactly doing well in the Premier. Well, they are doing well considering that where they came from. They came from the Championship. But Harvey Barnes got the first goal, and then it was all Leeds from there. Stuart Dallas, Patrick Bamford, and Jack Harrison got on the score sheet. Yes, Leicester City where are they currently? They're fourth right now, right? They're fourth right now. What's going on?
Yeah, you're cutting out.
You okay?
Yeah.
Am I cutting out?
No, you're fine.
No, he did cut out for a second.
Okay, but you're back. Okay, you're back.
Cool. So Leicester City are fourth right now. But teams are catching them. West Ham are catching them. Tottenham are still. Jack might disagree, but Tottenham is still there. Chelsea are there. Everton are there. Aston Villa have 2 games in hand on them. If they win those, they are 2 points now. They're 1 point behind them. So it's not that it's secure. So are these defeats going to affect them, or are they going to in the long run?
What is about Leicester is they're just like every other inconsistent team in and around them. That's as simple as it gets. I mean, earlier this season they smacked up City. What was it? 5-2, 5-1, 5-0, something like that. They absolutely humbled them in that game. You're thinking, whoa, this is crazy. But then the next game, I think West Ham, they went to West Ham and lost 3-0. So, you just can't rely on Leicester right now. And this is why I don't really talk too much about Brendan Rodgers, because every now and then when he shows you, I do think he's a good manager. I don't think he's a bad manager, but he's not a great manager for me because his results are so inconsistent. Now, that does also come with the players that you have, but Castagne is a good signing. Tillmans was a good signing. Vardy's still doing his thing, so he's got the team, but the results are being delivered in a very inconsistent way. To lose 3-1 to Leeds, these are a team that, in their games, there's always going to be goals. They're always going to entertain one way or another, whether it's win or lose. But the manner of which they lost after especially taking the lead was quite poor. So that's why I don't even know where they're going to finish. You can't predict unless the season right now. Just like a lot of the other teams, just like everybody else. And that's what the difference is. Last year, they were, 12, 13 points clear of Man United, and then they went on a poor run of results, one or two, then drew, then lost, and then they lost the last game at home to United, and that confirmed that their Champions League expectations or hopes were out of the window. And finishing 5th or in the Europa League spot, it's actually not a bad season for Leicester. But when it's like what I said about West Ham, once you get into a position, you want your team to try and maintain it. You might think it's not for the long term, but at least within that time, when everyone else is around you being inconsistent. West Ham drop points. We should be getting the next points to go above them and go clear of them. You know, so that's where they are right now. Brendan Rodgers, I just don't know how to feel about him. I think he's a good manager, but I can't go past that. I just can't go past that because he did his thing at Celtic, absolutely. But I don't want to say it's because Rangers were rebuilding, but at the same time, Rangers weren't a threat.
Let's be honest. Some of the season they weren't even in the same.
A credible threat, exactly.
For me, Brendan Rodgers he's too arrogant. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that thing where he has that life-size portrait of himself in his hallway. Like, he's got that sort of he's got that Mourinho arrogance here without the trophies. I think that's his downfall. Like, you haven't won no trophies, so being arrogant is a bit of a mad thing. And again, we've just found, like, without Jamie Vardy, you're nothing. Like, you know, even when we played them, they were so bad, but literally they just had Jamie Vardy, that one ball over the top, and we knew it was coming. We knew for the whole game that he's going to get the chance over the top and he's going to score. And he's one of the most underrated players in the Premiership, like probably in the Premiership history, because he just looks like a rat. His attitude, he just comes across like a rat. So people just don't take to him, innit? But yeah, it's just as Kojo said, like, you don't know how to feel about Brendan Rodgers. Like, I don't know if he had Man United players or Chelsea players, would he win the league? I wouldn't be comfortable to say he would win the league, and that's the difference, isn't it? That's the difference.
For me, I think it's a combination of, there is a slight burnout, I think, in his teams, because they always tend to tail off at the end.
Yeah.
But also, what you said about arrogance, I think that comes with stubbornness as well, and his lack of adaptability to games, to football matches. I think he plays a very similar way almost every game as well. And we saw that at Liverpool, and we're seeing it here with Leicester. And when it's good, it looks brilliant, and he gets praised, like, credit to him, like, rightly so. But when it doesn't work, you know, again, this is why the best managers always adapt to their opposition, unless your system just works perfectly all the time with the players you got, with like a massive set of world-class players. But again, we're not in that era now. I think there's not a single team that's filled with world-class players like that to that extent anymore. I don't think. And Leicester, if he switches it up just a little bit, I think, I don't condone the way we play all the time, but against Leeds, we sat back. We knew that defense could be picked off easily, one by one. Like, Leicester should have done that. And it's just a lack of changing tactics, ultimately.
I think we shall wrap it up there. It's been an hour and 8 minutes so far. So thank you guys for joining us. Big Gunner, where can they find you? Yeah, so I'm just Big Gunner on YouTube, but on Instagram, on Twitter, I'm Big Gunner TV. Jack, where can they find you?
Yeah, at Touchline Hotspur, so Spurs _ Touchline. We do a podcast every Thursday, and just check us out.
Yeah, I've put both your Twitters and your YouTubes in the bio also. So
yeah, thank you.
People check it out. Also, if anyone that reads the bio, I don't know if you would do. Hopefully you do for these guys' names. I put Laura in there because Laura was supposed to join us, but she couldn't make it last minute. So just shout out to Laura. That's a Liverpool fan because she was feeling chesty after the actually got result. So yeah, fair enough. And Coach, where can they find us? You can find us on YouTube here, of course, at 3inMidfield Podcast, and you can also find us on Twitter, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. 3inMidfield. This has been another episode of 3inMidfield Podcast. Good night.